That's on. There we go. Hey guys. Hello everyone. Welcome to another Monday. Oh, whoa, we just got all sorts of notifications that Transfiguring Adoption is starting a live video. Imagine that. Hey everyone, it's Darren Fink and
Margie Fink.
And we are doing another Monday caregiver check-in for Transfiguring Adoption. So Margie, can you tell them what this is all about?
So this is our time. Once a week we get on here and we just check in with other caregivers and professionals and other volunteers who are interested in helping foster and adoptive families. So this is just a time when caregivers can get on, ask questions, share tips, give advice. This is not meant to replace legal or therapy advice or caseworker or any of that kind of stuff. It's just a place for caregivers and other interested individuals to come together.
Absolutely. So, so, hey Felicia. So we are going to be talking about a book that Margie is reading. Actually, we have a couple books, I guess, we could look at here right now, but just so you guys know, the way we have some people joining in right now. They're still kind of meandering in. Hey, you guys, if you are glad to be here, if you are glad to be on the check-in, if you could give me like a thumbs up, could you like hit that emoji? Hey, Christina, could you guys all hit the thumbs up emoji icon if you're glad to be here? Heart it out. Let's see what's going on here. So we are...
Martin Fink is watching.
Margie Martin Fink is watching. It's because her phone's down there, you guys. And if you guys don't mind, too, if you guys could take some time while people are meandering in, if you could share that you're watching this with your friends so that more people want to watch and talk with us, that would be great. But before I go too much further, it's someone's birthday tomorrow. So I don't know, like, what do we do, like, for that, like, on Facebook Live, like, how do we celebrate that? I think, you get to pick the emoji. Which emoji do you want everyone to hit?
Thumbs up.
The thumbs up? So everyone
laughing.
The laughing? Okay, so hit the laughing emoji to wish Margie a happy birthday. She's gonna be celebrating it tomorrow, so fantastic. Thanks, everyone. Good. Let's go ahead and get started here. So can you tell everyone how this works? Like, you did. Did you tell them how it works, though, with them chiming in whenever?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't remember what I said.
So anyways, if you guys aren't familiar with how this works, we're going to start off with a topic. Margie and I are going to start off with a topic. And then as we go along, if you guys need advice from other caregivers or professionals that happen to be watching right now, or if you have a question, or if you have something that you learned this week that you want to share, then jump in there on the comments and we will get to your comments and your questions and different things like that, and we'll share them with the group. So that's how that works. This is your time. We're just coming up with a topic so that we're not sitting here in silence, but we really appreciate everyone watching. It's good to see, like, it really is kind of, I know we haven't met a lot of you guys in person, but it's kind of fun because we see a lot of regulars here, and it's fun to see everyone. Like, I feel like we're becoming like friends and family. All right. Well, do you want to share about the book that you are taking a look at right now?
Okay, so this will be up on the blog when I finish it. I'm only 103 pages in. I started it this afternoon, but it's been riveting. I told Darren I didn't even want to put it down to start the check-in because it's really good.
I had to literally pry her away. Like, she was like sitting on the couch and I'm like, it's time. And she was like, but I don't want to stop. I'm like, it's time. It was good. Yeah,
so it's Fixing the Fates, an adoptee's story of truth and lies by Diane Dewey. As you can see, this is an advanced reader copy, so I got this as an advanced reader to read it and let everybody know what I thought. And like I said, I'm just 103 pages in out of like 332, so not even quite a third of the way through, and absolutely riveting. I think there's so much to be learned and gained from the perspective of adoptees. So I'm not going to give too much away yet because actually I'm still in the first third of the book. But I'll read the back. It says, Diane Dewey, surrendered in a German orphanage at age 1, was adopted and raised by loving parents near Philadelphia who withheld information about her origins, seemingly to protect her. Then the axis shifted. When Diane's Swiss biological father contacted her by letter after 46 years, her sense of truth was upended. In the months and years that followed, she sifted through competing versions of the story of her birth and adoption and discovered disturbing secrets about her true fate. She was in the midst of attempting to substantiate or refute these findings through resonant family reunions when another mysterious letter appeared. One part forensic investigation, one part self-discovery. Fixing the Fates is an unflinching saga of facing deception and resetting the compass to live one's truth.
And who did you say this was? It's by an adoptee?
Diane Dewey. She's an adoptee.
Okay, and I'm sorry. The reason I keep looking over here, you guys, is because I have my laptop open and I'm actually trying to do some technical stuff with the check-in so that it keeps going smoothly and we have people going in. So I missed it. So she's an adoptee and it's a true stories?
Yes. This is her story of her life.
Okay, and so
but she's an artist, or she's
okay.
I wouldn't say she she received her BA from Villanova University, the honors program in liberal arts. She later earned a certificate from the Art Institute of Philadelphia, then New York University School of Appraisal Studies. Diane founded her art appraisal business, The Realization of Art, in 2006. So she's worked for the Guggenheim Museum and in galleries and...
Wow, the Guggenheim Museum, that's not anything to sneeze at.
Nope.
Wow,
nope.
Okay.
But all it, like, she's just very... She kind of reels you in. Like I said, it's very riveting. She's an amazing writer.
So what makes her story... I mean, every story is unique, but I guess what makes this story one that you think people are going to need to take a look at, or maybe I guess we have to kind of wait for the review, right? But
yeah, you kind of have to wait because, like I said, I'm not even a third of the way into it.
What makes it so riveting?
Her writing, and then just the story in and of itself.
Do you want to put it up again before we have some more people that have just joined in? We're talking about this book that Margie's getting ready to review on our website about it's the life and story of an adult adoptee.
So I think we can learn so much from adult adoptees, a lot of the what not to do's. And of course, she was adopted, in the time when adoption was all secrecy, and that was kind of, they didn't have the best practice of, it not, of more openness in adoption, not even necessarily about birth family contact, but just even that talking to kids about the fact that they've been adopted and not hiding parts of their story or...
Well, and here's something that we were actually talking about before we came on here is, so we were looking at an Instagram photo, and someone, it was a picture of someone who was adopting, and they dressed up their dogs, and they had something by their dogs, like a blackboard by the dogs that said that our humans are getting us...
Our parents are getting us a human.
Our parents are getting us a human. So they were being cute, and an adult adoptee had commented on it, hey, that's really feeding into some insecurities as an adult adoptee. But I think the thing that I was talking about with Margie is the one thing that was mentioned by the adult adoptee was... No,
it wasn't an adult adoptee.
It was
an adoptive parent.
An adoptive parent. Okay. So one thing that was said, though, was that it's hard for adoptive parents to hear what adult adoptees have to say. And I asked Margie, I'm like, is that true? Because I'm used to talking, I think, with a lot of you guys who are watching on here and a lot of other people. And I'm like, is that true? Is it really hard? What do you guys think? Is it hard for adoptive parents to hear what adult adoptees have to say about their situations when it's not all rose-colored glasses? And what did you say? What did you have to say?
I forget.
You said you thought it still was hard for adoptive parent. You thought...
Well, no, I said that there are different groups of people, like there are those, I think as the more we learn, the more it becomes evident that it's a vital, important thing to do. And we start to understand adoptees more and more and understand how understanding them is so important to raising our kids.
Right. But I thought you were saying, like, in general, adoptive parents in general still have a hard time listening to adult adoptees because maybe that was because of the newness. Maybe, like, you're saying
and
new.
I think, like, Dusty says, I would imagine it'd be hard because kids have vastly different perceptions than adults. And I think that was one of the things that I kind of said earlier when we were talking was that, you know, there's this tendency to say, well, not my kids. My kids don't feel that way. But there is this vast difference between how kids perceive things and then how are they going to perceive them, you know, 20 years down the road.
Right.
So while they might feel a certain way about their adoptions right now, are they going to feel that way as adults?
And so I think that's a good thing to always be checking in with your child too about how they're, like, being available to them so that they all, like, you're always checking in to see how they feel about that. Because I think, while at some point they might be okay with people knowing that they're adopted at school, like when they hit high school and they hit teenage years, they might not be okay with it again. Right. Or like at that point.
It changes over time. And I think that's one of the valuable things that I've learned from adoptees is that just openness and discussing with your kids constantly, being available for them to talk about the good, the hard, all the different complex feelings. So Felicia says, I feel like it would be hard to hear, though essential. It would be hard because you try to make the best decision for the future in the moment. But once that future arrives, you finally witness whether or not that was really the best decision. Dusty says, depends on the kid. She says, my teen doesn't care who knows what. Yeah, and that's what, you know, we've got most of our kids are very, very open with their story. Mm-hmm.
I think it's because they've done this. And we get that question asked a lot too with doing transfiguring adoption. People worrying about our kids, like that people know. And we actually check in with our kids a lot with doing things and what we share and different things like that. And we always like, we'll get to points too where people will say something on social media, kind of like a, how dare you guys. And we'll like take that opportunity to sit them down again and say, okay, you guys, like seriously, we'll pull the plug. We'll pull, like, it'll be a mess, but I will go through the website and I will like pull every mention of you off the website if that's, and like our kids are like totally open and fine with it. But I mean, that's not every kid. Like,
no. And I think sometimes like, I don't know, like we talk a lot in our family about bad things that happen to us can be used to help other people. Like I was 11 when my dad died, and like as that was a hard thing to go through, I was always like this, even as a kid, I was like, this can help other people.
Right.
Because I can have empathy for other people. Let's see. So Miranda says, no, this is about the being hard to hear from adult adoptees. No, because honestly, I already know ours probably won't be a rose-colored happy ending, and I would rather have the real side and know the future, but be surprised if it changes to be rainbows than expected rainbows and get none. My sister was adopted at birth by her parents, and her reality is happy rainbows because she knows she was in a much better family. I know that's not how all of my kids feel, sadly.
Yeah, and Christina's saying, she just commented, I have one that insists I am his birth mom. I try to give bio mom her place but in this moment, he is insistent. He doesn't have contact with her, though. I think I missed that. I don't know if I read that all right. That's the reason I have you on here, because you're literate.
You said illiterate.
No, because I'm Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes, I'm literate.
You're literate. That's what I said. You're literate.
It sounded like you said illiterate.
No, I'm illiterate.
Well, some of it is these headphones.
I don't have vocabulary either, evidently. I missed it. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was reading Christina's comment. Can you read that one for me? Because I think I missed something in there.
No, my brain is fried, so I'm kind of trying to... I'm going to be 40 tomorrow. Yikes, guys.
No, it's totally true. So, that was one thing that we actually had an extensive conversation about, was just kids' perceptions, and if it is difficult for us as adoptive parents to hear from adult adoptees. And I think that's something that... we have to swallow our pride, if there's any pride there. I think we have to be humble and just take in as much as we can from adult adoptees. And when they say something that we don't like, I think we have to maybe... I think there are a couple things that I've learned. Is first, we have to pause before we react and try to figure out... one, if it was kind of an anger or like a very blunt, without tact, like, is this person hurt? And so they're coming from a place of hurt, and I need to filter all the hurt out, but take the message. And the other thing is just trying to figure out why am I so threatened by what they say? Mm-hmm. And again, it's we talk about it a lot, like fear. Fear makes us do things. So why am I so scared about what this person says about how they feel about their adoption? The where wasn't supposed to be there. So let me try one more time. So Christina says, I have one that insists I am his birth mom. I try to give Biomom her place, but in this moment, he is insistent. He doesn't have contact with her, though. Okay. Yeah, so...
And I will say that we have one that's not as open and, in
really?
Some respects, about talking about it. But then we read a book a few weeks ago that, helped to kind of overcome some of that. Just in process... Not necessarily talking and sharing the story, but being able to process with us and that kind of thing.
I think the interesting thing is that I think you can have kids from all the same home, and they will all have different ideas about how much they want you to share about them, and how much, or even what was Christina was talking, are you mom, or are you the foster, or are you Margie and you're never mom? And you can have all that out of one, but I don't know. It's just all interesting. And I think we can learn so much from adult adoptees, because I think when you have those situations, you can learn if you're puzzled or you're trying to figure out why that is, I think adult adoptees can kind of shed some light on some things that we're trying to figure out.
Side note, I don't know if you saw this today, but Dusty has a new somebody sharing her last name today.
Congratulations.
And I know, the more I get to understand adoptees and former foster youth and stuff too, it's hard because I know a day like today, it is congratulations, but it's also a hard day too, because there's just so much complexity to it.
Dusty, you're awesome. Dusty says, in my house, I am Mom, Dusty, and Mum, and I can't stand this woman. I think I've been, throw Dad on it, but I think I've been all of this to one kid all at the same time, believe it or not.
Yeah, I think so.
It's pretty amazing how I can be all those things at once.
Jacinda says, I experienced hearing today from my husband, an adoptee, founded birth family over the last 4 months. He is 38. He said, I don't know about you, but I feel more complete. I've been married to him for 18 years. The peace that has come in just talking about adoption is almost undescribable. Yeah, and I think that's what, as much as, this book that we were talking about in the beginning that I'm reading right now that I'm going to be reviewing for the website, Fixing the Fates by Diane Dewey, from what I'm a third of the way in, like, she had very loving parents. She had a good childhood, but there's just this, there's so much that we can't understand of just having that gap in your identity and just that not knowing where you've come from and how much of a dilemma that creates and how...
So, like, I feel like, so with what Jacinda was saying, too, like, I feel like I've heard people, like, as older, like, in their adult life, wanting to find out more about their family and different things like that. And I've heard people say that their experience has been that the adoptive family then is saying, well, why are you doing that? Didn't you have a happy childhood? Didn't we love you enough, or didn't we? And see, I feel like it's important for us to hear from adult adoptees too, even for just like hearing like how like they feel complete, how it's making them feel. And it's just like, I think we need to hear from that and then put our emotions and our pride or whatever we have standing in the way aside, and realize that it's not about us in that situation. I think we need to hear how important it is for them for different things, because it's just like, I can see like with some people how it would be really quick and easy just to say, well, didn't we love you enough? Like, why do you need to go find these people? I can understand it. I don't think I would do that ever, but I could understand it.
Like, we're in such a different position because,
yeah.
I mean, yesterday was one of our kids' birthday, and we were at the beach, and he and I are talking, and all of a sudden he's like, because I'm like, hey, because all of a sudden I'm on Facebook Messenger, chatting with birth mom, and then calling the kids over for the two that it's their birth mom, because it's like extended family, like they're our family too, and so it's hard for us to even think about it, but.
Yeah, so like I've heard, so Jacinda's saying his adoptive family was not supportive of it. And I've heard the same thing. I've heard people, and it really puts a wedge in between the family dynamics too, where I've also, actually, I'll try to find it if Margie's talking here for a little while. We actually had a guy that came to us that he's a film student, and he was kind of some of you've probably never heard of him, but he was... Believe it or not, he was a YouTube celebrity for a while. The song Uptown Funk, he did a parody with some people of it called Dark Lord Funk, right?
Yeah.
And it's Lord Voldemort from the Harry Potter series doing the whole... So, and it went viral, and he's kind of a YouTube celebrity. But he was adopted, and he told his family that he was going to go find his birth father. He knew,
but he just was going to show up at the door unannounced. And there's it's on our blog, so you can go on there. It's like,
well, I'll try to find it.
Okay.
But
they were kind of apprehensive, but yet supportive.
Yes,
like they supported him.
They had a real conversation.
They had a real conversation,
and it was kind of.
And actually, like his birth mom was there, right? During the conversation.
Not during the conversation, but he did.
At one point, they were all at the table.
Were they all at the table?
I thought
he
so,
did.
Yeah.
I didn't think they were all at the table, but he did have the conversation with his birth mom too about, hey, this is what I'm gonna go do. Let me see if I can find that. I don't. The rough part is the guy's name is totally slipping me. Elijah something.
I want to say Thomas, but for some reason that's not feeling right.
Elijah. Yeah, but anyways, are there any more comments? Talks among yourselves.
This is another book that came today that we'll be reviewing. Help, My Feelings Are Too Big, Making Sense of Yourself and the World After a Difficult Start in Life by K.L. Apson. This just came in the mail today from Jessica Kingsley Publishing. This, of course, is a book for kids. So we'll be reviewing that. I haven't even seen this one.
Oh, you haven't? No. Oh, that's the one that Felicia sent us.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So Felicia sent us this one to review, Runaway Words, written by Patricia Taylor. Dusty, I'm assuming you're saying this one, Help, My Feelings Are Too Big? Is that what we're talking about?
I think you mentioned that, didn't you? Someone mentioned Help, My Feelings Are Too Big.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah, like now I'm vaguely like remembering.
Yeah.
Y'all gotta understand this is like after our alarm clock goes off at like 2 or 2:30, so it's this like after bedtime, and sometimes my brain doesn't work.
Oh, that's sad. The image isn't showing up. Here, I'll try to fix that. So yeah, I just put the link up there for you guys. Oh, there it goes. So showing up at my birth dad's home unannounced. That's Elijah Thomas. He's a film student, and you can actually see he did a documentary style. He went and showed up at his birth dad's home unannounced. And it goes through, he had a great family, adoptive family. Like, he talks about how awesome it was and great. But he needed that closure and that just like figuring out like who he was and learning more about his identity and different things like that.
Roots,
yeah.
Having your roots. We all take that for granted.
Well, and Felicia made a comment here at some point. She said that, good or bad, knowing where I missed it. I'd have to go up and find it. But, good or bad, knowing where you came from, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
Like, well, and, like, so I often think of, like, so I'm weird in that here I was born in America, and I'm third generation in America, but I'm 100% German. So like my German ancestry is like growing up was like a big thing for me because both sides of my family were German. So people on both sides of my family growing up spoke German and different things like that. So it was a big thing for me. And I always like think with our kids, like they don't, even though we have contact even with their birth families, their birth families don't necessarily know where their ancestry came from.
Really I don't know. We haven't really talked
about
it.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong.
Dusty says, I also love every book by Kevin Henkes. And then Jacinda said, reading 20 Things Adopted Kids Wish Their Adoptive Parents Knew by Sherry Eldridge. Wow, so helpful in loving my spouse. I'm actually in the middle of reviewing another book by Sherry Eldridge, which is 20 Questions Adoptees Are Asking. She's got a few different books, and she's an adult adoptee. And I've gotten snippets of her books. I've never read the whole one through. And actually, like, I was just in a place where I needed something a little bit more
light.
Not really light, but like
not instructive or something.
Yeah. This reads like a story because It is a story. It's someone's real life story. And I just put that other book by Sherry Eldridge down, but that review is going to be coming at some point.
And that's something that like I'll say too right here. If you guys have, Felicia sent us a book because she thought we needed to review it and it needed to be on our website. If you guys have something like that and you want to send it to us, definitely send it to us. We're also looking. We can't keep up with all the books that we have to review for adults. Because obviously
it'll take a little bit longer.
This doesn't take as long as this to review. So if anyone's...
that one's going really fast.
Right. But you've had the time.
It's more like a story.
But if anyone has the time or energy or the willingness and the want to review books for grown-ups, can you send an email to Margie, Margie, at transfiguringadoption.com, and I don't know, in the subject put something like grown-up book reviews. That sounds weird. You'll definitely get it.
It sounds better than
adult book reviews. You'll definitely get there. You'll definitely have your attention. But yeah, we actually have Jessica Kingsley Publishing and different authors are sending us books every once in a while, and it's hard for us because this is our volunteer job, so it's hard for us to keep up with things, but people are looking at this stuff. Have you read The Grown-Up's Guide to Teenage Humans by Josh Shipp? No, but it seems like Has Josh Shipp written another book?
I don't know that he's written. He speaks a lot. He was in... Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. He was in foster care. Okay, so Dusty met him last year and saw him speak. It was awesome. Tell us a little bit about him, Dusty. I know it's hard when you're typing and there's going to be a lag because I'll say it and then you'll hear it in a few seconds and then you'll have to type it.
Yeah, Josh Shipp sounds familiar, though. I don't know why.
like, because things come up on Facebook about him as a speaker.
Huh. Well, let me...
My phone is about dead, otherwise
Well, I have my laptop right here.
Yeah,
It's easier
awesome.
anyways. So Josh Shipp is an American youth motivational speaker, best-selling author, and TV personality. He is most known for his TED Talks entitled Every Kid is One Caring Adult Away from Being a Success.
Yeah,
Wonder
so
what-
like Dusty said, he was in foster care and he's a motivational speaker.
So why have we heard of it? I mean...
Because the TED Talk, I see that TED Talk about every kid is one caring adult away, like, come up a lot.
Okay. He was featured on MTV. And Oprah. Well, fantastic. Okay, well, cool. It sounds like an amazing book. I'm glad you suggested it. Yeah. So how do you guys check in with your kids to see how they're feeling about foster care or adoption? Like, do you guys just... Like, does everyone have, like, a sit-down meeting? Like, is it a formal thing? Or is it just more of an informal, like, check-in thing? Or do you not do it? Are you more of the, let's push our feelings down, way down camp? Dusky. Your name is Dusky. That's I ask and Dusty at the same time. Dusty says she just asks flat out. I think that's, like, I don't know. I that's more my thing, because I just want to know. So I don't want to tiptoe around it or anything like that. Let's just ask and see what's going on. Not formal, usually in the car, like, what is up with you and your foster care feelings today? Yeah, I think I do both. Well, and then but I'm so joking, I horse around a lot. So, like, I think when I ask things, I think I can joke around, I can horse around with it and be, like, very straightforward and blunt. And my kids think it's funny and they'll talk. That's not to a fault.
Yeah, and Dusty has teens. So it is different, like, the way we talk to our kids now is different than we would have talked to them 10 years ago when they moved in.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Absolutely.
10 years ago.
10 years ago. We're old. We are old, you guys. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm even, like, sitting here going, like, it's past 8 o'clock. It's past my bedtime. Felicia says, I'm so struggling with this topic right now. Potato is so young that it's hard to process with him. And we just had a respite for a few days last week. And after we dropped her off, he absolutely broke down for 4 hours and can't figure out how to navigate it with him. With his expressive language is way below his receptive language. Wow. He seems to calm down when I explain to her that she had to go home to her mommy and daddy and just needed our help for a little while, and she would be back again to visit. Yeah, that is, I mean, it's hard too when...
Well, and Potato is birth child too, so, like, there's all kinds of huge feelings with, like, different kids coming in and out, and yeah, and when they're little people, they do, like, they can understand a lot, but they can express much less. So it's hard for them to tell you what they're feeling, so it's hard to even know how to discuss with them when they can't necessarily express it. They can understand what you say, but they can't tell you how they're feeling.
Yeah, that is rough. It's fun. I mean, if you want to look at it in a positive light, though, it's neat that he is able to empathize, like, or show emotion and feelings for, like, you know what I mean, the concern for another kiddo. So that's really cool.
But it's a loss for him because he's
Yeah.
lost siblings. He's had siblings and then lost them.
Yeah, I will have to say. So here's a question. So for those of you that do foster care, how do you help after a kid, whether it's respite, whether it's like a child goes back home to their birth family, how do you handle the grieving process of the child leaving your home? Because I know, like, maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, even if it was a bad situation where the child unfortunately had to be moved from the home for everyone's safety, there's still a grieving process because you're still, like, I feel like you're still losing a part of the family.
Oh, Dusty says it isn't easier with teens. We process as a family because it affects my boys greatly sometimes. If I said it was easier with teens, it's not what I meant.
I think she was just saying that.
Okay. I don't know what I said.
I don't think it had to do with you.
I think I might have said it's easier, like, I don't know.
I don't think it had anything to do with what you said.
Dusty said we handle it like a death as far as loss, and I allow the kids to grieve on their terms, and we talk about it a lot and work through it on their terms. Yeah, I know. Even like earlier this week or this weekend. Okay, sorry, I'm seriously out of it. I don't know. I'm sitting here in my head going, did I say it was easier to talk with teens? Because I think sometimes, yeah, who knows. Our kids were talking about some kids that used to live with us in 2007. We had 2 kids in 2017 for 6 months, and they were talking about missing. We do need a nap. About missing them, just like the other day. And, and kind of processing through like the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
And, and it was a year in December, so 15, 16 months, something like that.
Do you know what was good about that too? Is I feel like it's even good, like, with talking with kiddos when they have questions about, like, their birth homes and talking about with them, like, as much as you can share, like, or, like, about their birth home, is, like, I feel like it put things in perspective, like, the correct perspective, because I feel like sometimes, like, our kids experience something and they witness something and it gets exaggerated in their minds. And then they start to remember it, and you're like, look, what family were you living in? Because that didn't happen, or really? You don't remember that? Like, and so I feel like it's, like, a good thing, too, to be like, well, like, just to check in with them and to see, like, so while they are going through that process, like, they might be going through unneeded grief because they might be remembering something over-exaggerated, and you're like, no.
Or just, like, their perception was way off because... we all perceive things differently, and as kids, a lot of times without fully understanding, we can perceive things way off.
Yeah, that is hard. So Felicia's talking about one of their kiddos that they had for almost 2 years and then left. And that is rough, like when you've had a kiddo for such a long time. Well,
and for Potato, like that was like his whole life that he remembered,
Right.
Because the big guy came when Potato was 4 months old, so
you don't know any different.
Back to perception, and we have come full circle. Yeah.
Back to perception.
I feel like we're talking in circles today. My head is going in circles.
I don't know. That's all I got. Part of me was relieved when this is Felicia. Sorry, guys. If you're watching us on YouTube later, because I don't think they get these little comment things down here. I think they just see our video. Part of me was relieved when I could see his bub slipping from his memory, but I thought it was sad as well because he was forgetting that relationship. But even after all of this elapsed time with his young age, he's 2.5. Things triggered the memory every time he sees Sonic the Hedgehog. He starts asking for him. Yeah, and I think that's obviously normal. And I think,
well, it's just not normal that, like, kids in a normal family situation aren't going through that. They don't have siblings coming in and out of their lives and just disappearing and them not being able to understand, why did I have this brother for 2 years and
all of a sudden I don't. Yeah. So it's amazing. Like, you guys, that's why I say all the time, like, you guys are all amazing because I mean, the things that your families are doing and don't even realize that you're doing to help children succeed is just amazing. Like, even if it's your littlest one is unconsciously giving part of his heart and emotions to another kid so that they can succeed. That's amazing because while it's a grieving while it's hard for our families when the kids leave, there's also a ton of good that happened too.
Okay, everybody's going to have to pitch in on this one. I have a question. This is from Dusty. She says, I have a question. When a child leaves, how long do you all wait before taking another placement and why? And I've seen families all over the board with this. I've seen families that just jump right in and take the next call, 3 hours later. I've seen families that will intentionally take time to grieve. And I've seen same in both situations play out in the family too, in the same family, depending on just the placement and how it went.
I've seen families that after a placement left, they moved to Florida and their licensing wasn't any good in oh wait, that's us. No, but I think
so. First, yeah. Dusty, their C is leaving for college this fall, and they're not sure how soon to take another kiddo. Jill says, I need immediately because it helps me get distracted and heal. And I've seen that a lot too, where families do take kids right away because then that way they're distracted and they can heal more quickly. Dusty said when their last placement disrupted, they closed their home, which is kind of, we moved to Florida, so we kind of closed our home. Felicia says it has been 8 months for us and we finally agreed to take another placement, but it had to be the polar opposite of what we lost. We said that we needed a teenager and we were looking for a female. We've also bought a new house and they're moving.
Yeah, see, I feel like the camp that we would have fallen into had we not moved is I feel like we would have been, because see, here's the thing too, is we also have 4 kiddos with various special needs in our home already. So I feel like we would get distracted naturally because there's always something going on. So I don't feel like we need I don't feel like we need a distraction for the grief. Like, I feel like we would be more in the camp of 8 months, like, or something, like 4 months or something.
I don't know. See, like, this is why I'm saying you guys have to do this talking a bit because, our first placement, Jasmine and Dalton, stayed. And then our second placement was an Adopt US Kids adoptive placement, so they stayed. And then mostly everybody else was respite that while there probably could have been opportunities for them to come, they weren't actually moving out. So Christina says, we waited a month in between for a little downtime, but our agency checked in with us to see how we were, to see if they felt like we were ready, which we appreciated. Dusty said we went on hold and that didn't work, so.
That's funny. Yeah, that is nice when your agency checks in on you to see how you're doing. Because it is, I mean, I think our caseworker did that when our placement when our kids had to move on. I think they checked in with us and just to see how we were doing and everything like that.
Yeah. Felicia says, for me personally, I want to just dive back in repeatedly, but I don't know what would be best for the other kids. And I think that's a difference too, is who's staying in your house. Because I think if we didn't have anybody in the house, no kids, and we had a placement that left, we'd be more likely to jump right back in to be distracted and to heal. But with other kids in the house, you kind of have to check in to see where they are.
Right. Well, and that's what, like, I don't feel like I'm sharing too much info. Like, that's where our kids were at with the last one, was they were not at a place where they...
Yeah, our kids, when our last placements left, they were not in a place where we could have jumped right in for another placement. The kids needed a breather as much as we needed a breather. So we moved out of state.
and like Dusty said, we tend to talk to our kids about it, but this time is different because she's going to college and not disrupting. So I feel like so it's
not as much of a grief or a loss. She's still part of your family. Like, she's...
Like, that's normal. Be there. Like, so I feel like that's a normal thing that, like, other people talk about too and stuff like that. So... But there still is a grievance. Oh my goodness. My dad to this day says, like, he like, it's almost like threatening me, like says, you don't know loss until you drop your first child off at college. And I'm like, whoa. So we'll see, I guess. We'll see what that's like.
She's going to be a mess, and she's going to need a week of wine when she goes to college. Jill says, I only have foster kids, and when I ask them, they are eager for a new kiddo when one leaves. Maybe it distracts them, too. And I think sometimes, like, our kids actually, like, because they were those kids, they're very ready, like, even I think they're ready to jump in head first without thinking about it a lot of times. I know even after we moved here, I got a bio of a kiddo who was needing an adoptive home because someone was asking me to share it. And I was reading it to the kids, not really thinking like, I was just reading because there were so many similarities that I just thought it was funny. And they're like, we need to adopt her. I was like, whoa, guys, don't you remember, like, you had a sister, like, not that many months ago, and remember how that was?
You didn't like it.
You didn't like having a sister, and you're ready to just... But they sympathize so much, I think, that they... because they were those kids, they want to help other kids, and they want to do anything that they can to help other kids.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you have to feel that one out, though, because I think someone going off to college, I think, is going to be a different experience for all of you. And so I think you're really going to have to feel out, like, what the family is doing and if everyone's ready to move on. Because I don't know. That's a different experience. And different with our families and our children does not always work out. Like, because it's change is what I'm trying to get at. Like, there's change happening, and like, I mean, all the gurus tell us, like, foster and adoptive parents, you need routine. Your kids thrive on routine, but going off to college isn't routine. That's different. That's a new frontier.
Any change or transition is hard for anybody who's had trauma, and our kids certainly have. For Dusty, they only had her a year, so Felicia says, just don't take away her room. As the foster child who went off to college, it hurt my feelings a bit with my room being given away.
Aww. That's sad. All right, good night, everyone. I'm done.
Well, it's just funny because we probably will have, in the next 6 months, have to move out more than likely, and we were just discussing what's going to happen with that bedroom. we are actually arguing over what it's going to become.
But they'll still have a place to come back home to. Well, actually, they'll live in the same city as us.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, they're not, like, they're going to be close probably.
Yeah, different situation. Plus, they're I don't know. We'll have to check in with them and see how they feel about that. Right now, I can already tell you, though, that one of them can't wait to move out. And not like in a, I hate you guys' guts, I can't wait to move out, but like a, hey, I'm an adult now. I would like to have my own place.
Yeah.
I keep talking like that. So our kids were watching the new DuckTales cartoons the other day, and they were talking like that because they were Launchpad was commentating on golf, and he's like, I like talking like this. Everything sounds important. Baloney. Trampoline.
Aaron said, I'm having a hard time trying to keep up. Aaron said, it hurt my feelings when my parents rearranged my room when I was 30, had lived out of the house for a decade.
Okay.
So, Dusty said, hers is the only room to give away, but we give away our oldest to give her her room. Dusty said, not gave our oldest, but gave away his room. And then I have sofa beds for visiting children. My oldest is 26.
And we're having thumb problems now. Everyone's having some
Felicia
issues
says,
on
give
Monday.
it at least until after the first semester of freshman year.
At least don't say, hey, there's no coming home on Christmas. Right? Come on. Christmas is like, that one you have to come home for, right? Like the first Christmas away from home? Oh, come on. Oh, good time. You guys are a mess. Thanks. Oh, I know. I feel like I'm a mess. You bit like it's totally awesome. I love it. We need to have more messy talks. We are approaching 8:51, you guys, and so I need everyone to wrap it up. So next week, I have a special guest that's going to be here, and I forget who it is.
I know, because you talked to a few people today.
Ooh, that's not good. I think it's Laura Kromzak, which Laura runs a support group, helps run a support group for foster and adoptive families out of Southern Illinois. She's been on here before. She is a hoot. I will be every bit as much a mess as when Margie and I are doing it together, so it'll be fun. So yeah, do you have any topics or anything you want us to talk about while Laura's on here? I'm also working on April 22nd, we have Betsy Crockett, who is an adult adoptee, who has recently reconnected. Well, I guess it is reconnected. Well, she's connected. She's found her birth father.
Her father found her, kind of, sort of.
So I figured she likes talking about her story, and she's like wealth of knowledge and insight. So I figured she'd be fun to talk to on April 22nd. She's available. She's going to be joining us. So be thinking of questions and things that you want to ask an adult adoptee, and maybe get them to me so that I can coach her, and not coach her, prep her. So she's not, I don't know how well she thinks on her feet. Some people don't like that. You don't like that.
That's why I don't like being on here, because I don't think well on my feet. I always think of what I should say later on. He processes out loud in the moment, and I process like in my head over time.
But yeah, let us know what you guys want to talk about next week. I will have, I believe it's Laura Kromzak on with me, who is another foster and adoptive parent. She's run a support group for quite a long time. So please give us some questions or things to talk about. Otherwise, we will talk about...
Has there been any progress on maybe having Leanne from Built to Bond come back on? Because I know you guys tried a little while ago and had some technical difficulties. I don't know what the technical...
I'm not sure what the technical difficulties were, so we'll work on that.
Because I know, like, there was talk about talking about RAD, and because her whole thing centers around bonding and stuff and connection and attachment. She's more of an attachment therapist. That she'd be a good person to have on to talk about RAD.
Well, hit the thumbs up button if you want us to pursue getting Leanne to talk about RAD. Hit the thumbs up emoji so that we know that that's something that we need to pursue. Otherwise, I won't pursue it.
Except people that watch this later won't be able to hit the thumbs up. If they hit the thumbs up, it won't show.
But they can comment below.
Yes.
So hit the thumbs up emoji now, and then later on... you can tell us about, comment that you want us to talk about it. So Felicia just did both. Yeah, Margie's kitty.
Dusty says, I want kitty pictures. I'm looking at you, Margie. You know, it's funny. He locked Kitty out of the kitty was following me.
Don't make me the bad guy.
And to come in here, and Kitty got locked out. Kitty is my baby.
Once again, this will be probably the last time I share it, but we are extending our Sweet Dreams Nightlight Drive. It's our third annual Nightlight Drive, and we are going to be extending that to April 15th. If you guys know anyone, a business or individuals that would love to donate nightlights, we are looking for more nightlights. We haven't gotten near enough to help all of the families that we are looking to help. Other thing is that we, if you go to our Etsy store, or if you go to our web store, we right now are offering free shipping on our custom designed items. So there's a cool Easter designs, which might be a little late to get those in right now, but you can try to get those in. And we have some really cool stuff on there that helps us fund all of our stuff that we do, but there's free shipping on it right now on our Etsy store or other. If nothing else, let other people know about it. Share our Etsy store, tell people to follow it, because it all helps us to get the word out and fund everything that we do. So, you got anything?
Nope.
No? You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, it's so much fun to see regulars in here. It's so fun to see new people in here too, we are forming a community, and it's just so nice to see all of you guys. And you guys probably encourage us more than we encourage you guys. You're doing fantastic. We know from experience that you're doing more good than you will ever know. Even if you feel like you're failing or not doing it this week, you are making it. You're doing an amazing job. Thank you so much for encouraging us and for being here for us. So thanks, you guys. Love y'all. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.